Ooh, girl. Record.
It's time for school days. Help for moms and dads of school-aged kids.
I tell parents, you're like a training wheel on a bike. Your job isn't to make the bike move. Your job is to keep the bike upright.
Those of us who are the true educators, we really want to be given the opportunity to educate the whole child.
We can get free college degrees based on all of the opportunities that are out here and available to our students.
Oftentimes, as parents, I think we want to protect our kids, but I think one of the greatest gifts we can give them is allow them to experience adversity.
Here's your host, Anita Bailey.
Well, welcome to School Days, Help for Moms and Dads of School-Aged Kids. I'm Danita Bailey.
And I'm Alicia Simon.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me today, Alicia. So Alicia and I have been friends for 15 years now. Does that sound right?
At least.
At least, okay. Yeah. And so she's a mom of 7 and 6 under the age of 12. And actually, if you are watching us on Facebook Live, we have sweet little Livie right here in the studio with us. She's number 7.
She's 7, so yes. You may hear her.
Yeah, so if you hear some odd sounds, you will know what is going up. So I asked her to join me in the co-host seat this week for a couple reasons. So one is that I just think it's kind of cool and kind of fun to have friends with me. For one thing, I get a little lonely since David has abandoned me and gone back to work.
The workforce.
Yes, so every once in a while I like to have a mom on with me, but also because David and I visited your family over Christmas break, and you had this really cool setup. Organizing your kids' school stuff.
Yes.
And so we talked about that, and you know, she has a large family, as we've mentioned, and, you know, I know that your ability to organize and be and manage your time well has evolved over the years.
In many ways.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm on the struggle bus just with 3 kids. Trying to keep the 3 of them up. But let me back up. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So as she said, I'm a mom of 7. The oldest is 27. The youngest is 7 months. And with that comes a lot. But I also am a wife, and I work from home. And so I've been in business for 7 years. And it's taken quite a bit of time to figure out. And actually, I want to say this right up front. It evolves. It definitely evolves with every child. You know, so organization, the ability to organize, the ability to get things in order has to evolve with every child and every life circumstance. So it does not look the same today as it did 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Well, I'm sure because we had no idea what we were doing.
No idea what we were doing.
We had our first children 3 months apart.
3 months apart,
right?
Because he's
when
May.
is D's? Okay, right, and DJ's March.
Yeah.
So 2 months apart. Yeah. So we have kind of learned together how to be organized, and she's really had to be more militant about it than I have, because she has a whole crew of people.
Yes, and I love sleep, so I think organization promotes sleep.
Men. Yeah, it does. And you in order to keep your sanity, no matter how many kids you have to have some level of organization. Yes. I think Livie is going to help us host the show the whole time. I think she feels like she's like we're talking
to her.
Oh, she thinks we're talking to her?
Yes, she thinks we're talking to her.
Oh, I thought maybe she was just joining in the talking.
Right.
Like she's like, well, y'all are talking.
I have something to say about this. That's right.
That's okay, Livie. I think everybody's going to think that's super cute. But, so yeah. So we are, we're just going to talk about organization today. We have 2 guests that are going to be on with us, and they are going to give us some really great tips. They work with middle school kids, and, if you have a middle school kid, you may know that that's a really difficult time because they're really starting to go through multiple classes and having to change classes and have multiple teachers. And so they work really hard to keep them organized and to help them to get on to the next grade. So before we go any further, let me just say it does take a village.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you hear a great parenting tip or nugget of advice, share it with your parent friends. Facebook it, Instagram it, tweet it, link it in, and add the hashtag School Days Show and hashtag I Am School Days. And also, we want you to be a part of the show. If you have any questions or comments, give us a call at 214-444-5575. Or if you're live with us on Facebook, feel free to drop us a question there, and we'll do our very best to get to you. So without further ado, let me introduce our guests. Actually, from now on, we're going to leave that to the kids. So today we're starting something new that we call Kidcasters. So in each new episode, students or a student will introduce our guests.
This week, our Kidcasters are sisters Leah and Lizzie Glover, who are 9th and 5th grade students from Arlington, Texas.
All right.
In 2001, Andrea Midgett moved to North Texas as a single parent with a dream of changing lives as an educator. She attended Panola College, Stephen F. Austin State University, and later Lamar University for her master's in education degree. During Andrea's 20 years of experience as a teacher, she has been fortunate enough to teach a variety of subjects at the elementary and secondary levels. Currently, she serves T.A. Howard Middle School as the AVID Site Coordinator and elective teacher. For her master's in education degree. Currently lives in Grand Prairie with her husband and 5 beautiful kids, 3 in college and 2 in elementary. Welcome to School Days, Mrs. Midgett.
Oh, thank you. Nice introduction.
That was wonderful.
Erica Gorruso has served as an educator in Texas for 13 years. She received her bachelor's degree in geography from the University of North Texas in 2001 and her master's degree in education administration from Lamar University in 2015. Mrs. Gorruso started her teaching career as an English teacher and coach. Since then, she has served as an at-risk specialist, associate principal, and currently serves as a principal at TA Howard Middle School in Mansfield ISD. Mrs. Gorruso is married to Jason and has 2 children, Megan and Connor. She enjoys spending time with her family, reading, traveling, and running half marathons. Welcome to School Days, Mrs. Gorruso.
Thank you. They did great.
They
really did.
They did a
That was
great
nice.
job. So a little plug, if you are interested in having your child be one of our Kidcasters, feel free to email me at info@schooldayshow.com. So let's get on with the show. So we have a bunch of questions for you.
Okay.
Yes. First of all, tell us what AVID is. I think most people, or a lot of people, don't even know what AVID is, but it's a great program.
AVID is a system that is national. We're blessed to have it in all of our campuses at Mansfield ISD. It spans from the elementary level through the secondary level, and there's even AVID at the college level. We focus on school-wide instruction, making sure that kids have the skills they need for writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. We also ensure that the culture of the school is a college-going culture, that students have that exposure to that. Sometimes school is the only place that they may receive that college-going culture or even have that experience and open to ask questions for that. We focus on our leadership. We meet often to talk about how we can better serve our kids. And AVID is always evolving. We're learning new things. They challenge us with how we can help students in all areas, especially with organization. That's one of the top things that AVID focuses on.
Mm-hmm.
So is it like a mentor group?
We have it school-wide, so all of our students are exposed to different things for AVID, such as we have a school-wide organization system, but also there's an AVID elective class that focuses on.
Gotcha.
I have select students that have an application process to go through, and I also teach that class, but it is systems that we use school-wide beyond just the AVID elective classroom.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Is it open? I mean, is it available at a lot of schools? Is this kind of common for schools to have this, or bigger districts have it?
I mean, it's common. Arlington, Mansfield, most districts in DFW do have it and have adopted the system. But it depends on, and also AVID has different levels that you can serve as. We are a national demonstration school. So there are certain things that we do throughout the whole campus, but there are some schools who just choose to adopt just some of the simple things from AVID as well.
Gotcha.
And who qualifies for AVID? Is this something that is for specific students?
It started out with just first generation college students, but it's expanded. First generation of students who would be the first to attend college in their family, but it has expanded. We focus mostly on students who are underrepresented in college, such as minorities. You have to have some type of qualifying factor that may keep you from obtaining your goal of college. Also, it's okay to have a local definition. One thing we've added to our local definition is students that need organization are welcome into the system as well as part of the AVID elective class.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. That makes sense.
In your experience, are students usually aware that they have problems with organization and time management?
Typically, I hear students tell me they're aware when their parents start yelling at them, or when they start, I don't have this, or when they see a failing grade. I don't know necessarily that their capacity is at that level yet. When we talk about being organized and having all your stuff together and balancing your things, those are things a lot of kids think, well, that's what my parent does.
Right.
And so I think one of the keys to all of this is partnering with your kid to do this stuff, because we hear the term helicopter parent and lawnmower parent and all these different types of parents, but when we swoop in and take care of all that stuff, they don't really see the impact of it until we get frustrated or until the teacher gets frustrated or until they're missing an assignment, because we as parents aren't necessarily asking them to balance everything. We're balancing for them sometimes.
Enabling them.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. It's not that we set out to say, I'm going to take over or whatever, but a lot of times we manage the extracurricular. We manage when homework time is and stuff. So I think one of the big pieces is to partner, and I think that's what AVID really does for students, is it has them look at things. For example, there's a part in there where you look at your time management and you balance out your entire day by hours, and it's not until you look at those things where you're like, oh, well, no wonder I don't have time. If I'm playing video games for 4 hours, no wonder I don't have time to do homework. So those are things that are introduced to students to give them that, to start realizing, because otherwise it's not basically until we tell them.
Yeah. Kids usually these days have a lot of full schedules, pressing schedules. So with work and extracurricular activities and just life, really, what are suggestions you offer to parents for balancing it all?
One of the things I think is to have a system in place or procedures in place, but do that with love. Just to have them sit down at the kitchen table right after school and hit the books going. What about some downtime or some understanding? So I think that there has to be some common understanding in your family or in your dynamic. Some parents don't come home from work until late, and so that might be they get their energy out before mom and dad come home, and then you sit down together and kind of be aware of what's going on. So I think systems and accountability together, it's a partnership. And there are ways to make it work. We have a high mobility at our school, and we have parents. We don't necessarily refer to our parents as parents. We call families at our school, because we know that families are raising kids, you know.
And not necessarily going to be parents.
Right. And we have parents that have several jobs that they balance and they work with, and so it may not be right when you get home from school that mom's picked you up. It might be 2 or 3 hours after you get off the bus when mom's coming home to get a meal to go out to the next thing. So wherever you can carve out that time or that system that you have some accountability with that student, like AVID has the AVID binder. That thing is 3 to 4 inch binder thick, and our kids keep their stuff in there. So just having your binder and having a parent walk in and say, hey, let me see what you did today. Your agenda or your binder. Those are the things, just a quick 1 or 2 minute touch, to look at those things and to really be interested in what they're doing. That really helps a student.
That's really good. And I can say that with our kids having 4 in school now, that was one of the things that we had to juggle, is really trying to figure out when we should do what. Because I was starting off, they come home and they would get a break. And then the break would turn into an hour, hour and a half outside playing all down the street, and trying to rally them to do homework was then difficult. So then I said, okay, we get a snack and then homework, and that seems to work out a lot better. And then if you get it all done, you get a break.
Right.
My nephew, who's now a senior in high school, was in the AVID program. He's in Arlington ISD, and he said that what was helpful for him was that with the binder, he said he had to get the binder checked or every Friday, I think, in order to, help his grade. And he said that was what was motivation for him, is that he knew his grade was going to go down if he did not have his binder in order. So just having that accountability was helpful for him. And that really started me thinking, because I have a middle school student. He's actually intermediate school. He's in 6th grade.
Okay.
And I don't want to even go in his binder.
No telling.
I mean, when I've also have elementary school age kids, and we look at their folder, and they're, that's different than what I'm seeing in his binder. I've been at it just a couple of times. It's overwhelming, and I thought, well, what if I incentivize him that when we do checks, if your binder is still in order, then we will, whatever it is, that's going to be something that he's interested in. Just to help with
How's
that.
How's that working out?
Yeah. No, I said, what if?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So we do that.
I would love to know.
We do that in my house. I have a 10-year-old. And we, every Sunday night, we look at that binder. And you wouldn't think that it could get so crazy from Sunday to Sunday. But, oh, my goodness. And I feel your pain. Like, I look in there and I think, where did this even come from, or what is this? But, that accountability piece that even he has said to me, it has driven him more to put the things in there because he doesn't want to spend that time on Sunday night doing it. He just said that last night to me. He's like, I don't want to do this.
That's smart.
And I was thinking, yeah, because I don't want to tell him, you have to do this, because I need him to figure it out, because then he owns it, right?
Yeah.
And so when I'm taking his video game time, or when I'm taking his playing around time, in fact, his friend had to go home early last night because we still had stuff to do. So when I have to take his time to do that, that's when he's going to start owning it and writing in there.
Yeah.
And putting that stuff in there.
Yeah.
That's good.
So another question I'm always wondering about, because I hear so many parents talk about morning chaos. What are some ways that you can avoid morning chaos? Because in my mind also, I want my kids to start off the day with as little yelling as possible before they go to school,
right?
You don't want to yell at them when they're running out the curb because then other moms hear you, right?
That too, the neighbors, all that stuff. But, I want to send them off with a positive feeling before they start, whole day of school. So what are some things you guys can recommend to parents to avoid the morning chaos?
In my house, we talk before bedtime. We talk about tomorrow's plans, if anything's different, if we have to be somewhere in the evenings as well. I pick out clothes at night, and we lay those out at night so my kids can go ahead and make that decision of what they want to wear. But also it's important to go to bed with a good thought and also send them off with a good thought. I try to find something positive. I have my 4-year-old, he can be challenging. So we make sure we talk about what we're going to do to get the sticker today at school, because that's a big deal for him.
Yeah.
And we also talk about some good things that have happened the day before. So the positive thought has always helped with the morning chaos. And it seems
starting
like
the night before, that's really good. I love that.
Huge. Yeah.
It's so important.
I'm going to tell myself, I used to be a crazy woman in the morning, and part of that was because, I'm sure the neighbors talked about me, but part of that was because, this may not be very popular, but I was the mess.
Yes.
I didn't have my stuff out. I didn't have my clothes laid out. I didn't have my lunch packed. I wasn't together in the morning. So I was rolling out of bed and walking down the hall and getting the kids up.
Yeah.
And now I actually have a schedule that I've been following for quite a bit now. I'm up at a certain time, whether I want to be or not.
Yes.
I love my snooze button. It goes off so close. But whether I want to be up or not, my feet hit the floor and I'm together. And so I'm already ready. I've already done my Bible study in the morning. I've already done my reading. I've already done everything that I need to do. And then I get the kids up.
Right.
And holy moly, I have not screamed in I don't know how many months. I promise you.
That's
and
awesome.
I know that's not we're not talking about organized parents here. I'm sorry, but
yes,
we really
that's where it starts.
That's
right?
exactly
That's
what we're
where
talking
it
about.
starts.
Yeah. Because, I realized that the exact same thing that you're saying. If I get up and I'm ready and I'm not trying to get myself ready along with them, because it's hard to get yourself in the shower and then also monitor what's happening in the other room, which you have to do,
especially with multiples.
The screaming that the kids are having, the argument and the all that, you can't do that from the shower very well. I've tried.
or you can't tell that they're still, stuck up under the bed if you're in there worrying about getting your clothes laid out and stuff too. My husband's a very structured person, and I can almost tell you what time of day it is by what he's doing. And so when he goes to get the stuff out of the fridge to pack lunches, it's like everybody congregates in there, and that's what we do. And we start asking, do you want this today? Do you want that? And that's the night before. So it's really grab and go in the morning. But I am now visible to see whether or not they're doing what I'm asking them to do.
Absolutely.
Which is important.
So I think that has been the biggest thing myself. I had to own it. I'm owning it. Yes. I had to do it.
We're all there, though. We've all been there. One of the things that I developed is for Noggin Educational Foundation is the visual schedule. I'm sure y'all are familiar with this, but it's for younger kids, although
it helps with older kids.
I was just about to say, I really think my husband on down needs this visual schedule. I mean, seriously. Because so what it is it's laminated visual images of different things that you have to do in the morning. Like there's a lunchbox, and there's a socks, and there's a shirt, and so what I've done is I've put Velcro on the back of them, and so as they do them, they put them down or pull them down and put them in a folder. That way we know that they're done. And so that helped me so much because it wasn't have you done, it was where are you on your schedule.
Yes.
And then they knew because it was all in order, and they knew what needed to be done next. So actually, we hadn't used it in a while. We started using it with Jonathan, my child that has mild autism, and it was really helpful for him. And he actually stopped using it after a while because he was like, "Mom, I've got the pictures in my mind." Yeah, he's like, "I've got the pictures in my mind." But we've kind of we've run off the tracks a little bit, so I'm going to break the schedule back out. Yeah, exactly. That's probably what it is. I'm sorry, I spit all over you.
You're good.
But anyway, so that is something that we'll have on our website on info@schooldayshow.com.
That's really good. I want to say the one thing that we did as a large family, we have 2 bathrooms and 8 people in the house, and so I created a hair station outside of the bathroom.
That's awesome.
I love that.
So that way, when someone's getting ready, someone else can be getting another part of them. It has a mirror.
You on
That's
that
awesome.
because when they are all together, it just causes
chaos.
Problems.
Yes.
Especially when there's multiple people,
different genders.
I'm always pulling them into another bathroom. Jonathan, you go to that bathroom and brush your teeth. Chrissy, come over here. I'll do your hair in the living room.
And then all of a sudden it's like,
yes, Mommy, he's touching me. He looked at me
right.
Yes.
Or he took too much.
That's awesome. That's a great idea.
So that's one of my tips. Awesome. All right. So what tools can family use to keep everyone informed of schedules? What tips and tools do you have for that?
In my house, we do the old-fashioned wall calendar.
Yes.
That's visual, that everyone can see. We all know where it belongs. I mark off things that have been done. We even plan the days that we go grocery shopping and so forth, so that my husband works on his around my time, I should say. He owns his own business, so I'm fortunate enough to have that balance as well. But I noticed that we were trying to use the phone and use different apps in a calendar. Well, he's not a phone person.
Got it. Yes.
And I don't pull my phone out during the day, so that doesn't work. But we do know there's a central station to go and look at and to write things down that are important that we need to make sure that we do throughout the week. So we do the old-fashioned visual on the wall.
We do that too. We have conversations too about. I like to prepare my kids because they don't like to be surprised. When they're surprised, they're upset about, hey, how come you didn't tell me? And I also, I share custody with my ex-husband, and so they go back and forth every week. And so it's very, very important for me to talk to them about things and let them know what things are coming up. So should something change with our custody schedule, I let them know usually about a week ahead. Now, remember, you'll be doing this or that. School things, work things that I need to stay late for, or sometimes they come get involved at my school. So, I try to have conversations. We fell off the wagon with our family meeting, but we were having a family meeting every Tuesday night, and it was really helping us.
Yeah.
And since Christmas break, we've kind of we've fallen off that wagon.
Yeah, ours was on Sunday nights, and we fell off too. It's time to kind of reel everybody back.
I'm reminding you, and you remind me. Right.
Those holidays kind of mess you up because you just get all lax and start watching
absolutely.
What are
Christmas
those?
Holiday movies.
Exactly. What are they called? Hallmark movies.
Hallmark, yes.
We finally took our tree down this week because that
ours is still up.
That adds to the rest, feeling that you
Oh,
have.
I just love it. Though.
I know I love it, but I need to get up for the game. Like
Yeah.
I can't
That's
have
true.
that soothing Christmas tree in my living
Right,
room
right.
anymore.
So I think conversation is big. Involving them, just to drag them around. That's what I used to do at the moment. I used to just drag them around, and they're like, "Why are we here? Why are we doing this?"
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, hey, this is your life too, and I'm just dragging you to these things. I'm not really giving you input in it. And yes, do we need to go to a family's house? Yes, we do. We do need to do that, but I could at least let you know.
Yeah.
You have music lessons on Tuesday night. I can remind you of that both on Sunday and Monday so that you're prepared for that. So
Yeah.
I think conversations, a car is a great place to do that because you're already moving. And so you can
You're
already start
captive.
talking about, yes. My kids love to read in the car because I'm talking to them all the time. But we have conversations about what we're doing and where we're going and things like that. So when I involve them, they're held captive there, and we can talk about it, and we can debate, and we can have conversation about that. I think that's so important in things that we miss sometimes.
Yeah.
In the hustle.
Yeah, I agree. So I'd love to know from all three of you, especially since you have some little ones, what are some ways that we can begin to instill time management in our little kids, like before they get to kindergarten?
One of the things I think I'm working on adopting or in the younger ones that I have now. So I have
What are the age? Yeah.
yeah. So I have 11, 10, 8. I always get confused. 11, 10, 8, 6,
Girl,
and 4.
me too.
So the 6 and the 4-year-old is what I'm going to see how this works. But someone told me to let them get themselves up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we did it a little bit. Like my older boys have watches, and so they set their alarm on their watches, and they know how to get up. They get up mostly on their own. And my daughter doesn't even need a watch. She's like me; she just pops up out of bed. But the two younger ones, they will sleep for days.
Yeah,
if we let them.
That's my 9-year-old.
And so I'm going to talk to my husband to see if we can figure out how to make that work. Whether it's an alarm that is, kind of soothing, and then try and get them on a track of waking up on their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Yeah. So it's a tip I'm going to work to incorporate.
Yes, but you can report that back to me, and
I
I'll let
shall.
our listeners know how that works. So what about you guys?
With me, my time management is mostly in the afternoon. My kids love to take out their toys and look at them, is what I say. Not necessarily play with them, but they're learning that everything has a place.
Yeah.
And so with everything having a place, you can kind of manage your time with, it takes only this much of time to put my Legos back, or my Legos belong here. I'm not just fussing throughout to make them do things. Also, we keep a consistent bedtime, especially on the weekends for me, so I can have some extra time as well. But they pretty much know their daily schedule, and I think that helps them to learn. You have this much time to do this. You know that right after bath, it's bed. So having a schedule within the day, the routine that doesn't break too much, is very important.
Yeah. One of the things that we used to do when our kids were toddlers is we had one of those systems where you've got different colored buckets, right? Multiple buckets, like 4 on each row, and there's like 3 or 4 rows. And so we had all, the Legos in one, the little Matchbox cars in one, and every time they cleaned up, they had to put them back in there, and they would remember where everything went, and that worked well. That worked well when they were toddlers. I don't know what has happened now. They don't really play with
system too.
Yeah, no, and it worked really well, and I was always surprised that they were like, okay, they remembered exactly where everything went. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I shouldn't give any advice because now that they're older, it's not working the same way. Though. Yeah.
No, I do not work for Amazon or for Alexa, but I'm telling you, Alexa has been a game changer at our house because everybody wants to set Alexa and everybody wants to. So I think giving a frame of how much time is. So it's hard for me personally to say, okay, I'm going to clean the house today. Oh my gosh, do we really know how much time that's going to take? It's going to take me like 4 hours to do it. But if I set the timer and say everybody, okay, everybody's working for 30 minutes on the house, you're going this way, you're going this way, and we divide up, 30 minutes is manageable. And then kids start to understand what 30 minutes is. Or right now, you guys have been on electronics too much. You got an hour of drawing or an hour of reading or something like that. Then they start to understand what an hour is. You know, 10 minutes of this.
So good.
We use Alexa for a lot of things.
Alexa's wonderful.
Alexa is a part of her family. We're talking about getting up in the morning. My son sets his to his music that he wants us to wake up to, and I really have backed off from. I don't wake him up in the morning anymore, but I hear him this morning. I heard him singing the song on there, and I'm like, oh, he's awake, So I think giving them a time frame too of what time really is. A question I ask him a lot is, he says, I'm going to do this, and I ask him a lot, how long do you think that's going to take you?
That's so good.
Because I'm terrible at that. I think I can get something done. I think I can cook dinner in 20 minutes, and my Instapot lies. It is not 20 minutes.
It is not 20 minutes.
It's like 40 minutes to
yes.
heat up and get the steam,
20 minutes.
and then it's 20 minutes to cook it, and then it's 10 minutes to let the steam out. So it's not instant.
It's not instant.
But anyway, so I think that giving them a time frame for things, because I know myself, I think I can get things done in a certain time, but really I can't. And so giving them reference to things. Oh, we have 5 minutes till we're leaving, and then really stick to the 5 minutes.
Stick to it. That's
because then they start thinking that it's 5 minutes, and then however long your conversation is with the other mom, and then however long it is for you to find your keys, and then however, really stick to the 5 minutes if that's when you're leaving. Or, hey, when we're leaving the house, you have to be ready, and you're coming in your pajamas or with fuzzy teeth,
or with one shoe missing,
or with one shoe missing, or no coat, or no lunch for the day. And I know that sounds harsh, but they really do learn from that. If you leave them one time, no, you don't leave your kid at home. But if you leave them without a coat,
said the principal,
do not leave your kids at home. No, but if you really start to follow through with those things, they get it.
Yeah, I agree. And follow through is so very important. I mean, you were talking about leave when you say you're going to leave. My husband and I are terrible about that, because especially at church. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Because we will get
and they give warnings too. You guys give warnings, don't you?
We give warnings, but they're lies.
Yeah.
They're just lies. I mean, and our kids are kind of onto us. We're like 10 minutes, and they're like, yeah, right. You mean 25.
Right. I mean, I get suckered into that too. I'm thinking, what if I leave her at home? Then somebody's gonna call. You have to come up. You have to be able to make the statement that you can back up.
Absolutely.
And that's why I've said, you'll go the way you look.
Yeah.
That's more than we're leaving right now and we'll leave you at home. Because some of them, I mean, my daughter, she would be fine with that. She's like, okay,
right,
go.
See you later.
Drive party. So it's more about what you're gonna follow through with. Okay, you have to go without one shoe, or you have to go without a coat, or whatever it is.
Let me just say real quick, if you have any questions for our guests, please feel free to give us a call at 214-444-5575. And if you have any questions and you're watching us on Facebook Live, go ahead and chime in there, and we'll do our very best to answer your questions. So one of the things I realize is that if home is not organized, it's very difficult for our kids to be organized at school. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what we do at home, and you guys for sure can chime in. And we've talked a little bit about it, but there were a couple more things I wanted to mention. So you have something when I first walked in the house. There's like shelves, or what is it you have?
Well, we call it our command station.
Okay.
Yes. And so what it is it's 2 IKEA shelves with the green pull-out bins, and then I have a small shelf in between. And it's where each one of them has their own shelf, their own drawer, basically, where they can put all the stuff that comes from school. And they get to keep it for a month, and then they have to empty it. They can pull out one or two things from that bucket to keep for a little bit longer, or they can snap a picture of their favorite thing, and I have it on my camera, which never leaves on my phone, and we'll work on that. That's another organization thing. And then there's also a bucket on that command center where they can put all the things that I need to sign and return. Oh, wow. And then I have a drawer that I put those things in that they know in the morning. Look in that drawer and pull out your item, and their name will be on it. And the center shelf, it has kind of gone from being the junk pile to it has the crayons and the markers and the pencils and the workbooks and all the things that they need to do homework or crafts or things like that. So
Love
that's
that.
our command station.
Yeah. So mine is a little bit different. I have, I guess, a couple of things. So I did the same thing because they're always bringing home so many papers, and I never knew what to do with them. And then
You
after
feel
a while,
bad
they're
about
kinda all-
throwing them away.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. So, but I do it eventually. But I wait
Yes.
a year. So
Oh, a year?
A year.
Right.
Well, because they have. So we have one of those little plastic file drawers, right? And so there's 3 drawers. So each one has their own drawer. So when they bring home all their papers and empty out, it's like put all that in your drawer. It's in the garage. And then at the end of the year, I pull out some of the stuff. I'm like, which things do you like? Which things are important to you? And then we throw everything else away. But also, it's good that, because I don't throw the stuff away because then I've thrown away somebody's homework or somebody's project,
yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
Or B, if they need to go back and study something, right? Or look at some notes or something like that. And that's really more for DJ, the intermediate school kid. So that's one of the things that I've done. And then the other thing, I have a command center, which is really mostly on the wall. So there's like a bulletin board on there. There's a clipboard where I clip different things. My son has awards from Burger King and all these other places for getting on the AV honor roll. So I've stuck all those things there. And then what else is up there? We've got like a box, kind of file folder box that's on the wall. So it's all stuck to the wall. And then I have our family calendar up there as well. So that is something that has helped keep us a little bit organized. And then another thing that I've been wanting to implement is to put a cork board on everybody's door so that when there's something that needs to be signed or something I need to remember to read or return back or something like that, I stick it on their door. So that's just a thought that I haven't done yet.
That's good.
But something to do. But I saw a couple of other things online. Using an over-the-door shoe holder, those plastic things to put the supplies and school stuff and things like that. And then the other thing was clipboards on their wall. And I actually did this one year. Everybody got a clipboard so they could put their art on it. So we kind of like the feature of the week would go on top of all the other stuff. So those are just some of the ideas that
we actually purchased one of those strings from IKEA. I don't
I
know what
have
to
one
call
of
them.
those.
Yeah. It never went up. But the wall that it was supposed to go on has become the art wall. And so now they just take thumbtacks or push pins and they stick their art up there, the piece of art that they want to keep a little bit longer than a month.
Yeah.
And so, but I still want to get that IKEA thing up on the wall.
I know. We have the best of intentions. So I want to ask, I've mentioned DJ, my middle school child, or intermediate school child, quite a few times. He has a hard time turning in work sometimes. So what are the best ways to stay on top of grades between progress reports and report cards? I mean, I know in our district we use Skyward, but I don't always remember to go on Skyward. And so...
Do you get the alerts? Okay. These are life-changing. There's one that
Wait, what?
Yeah. There's one called the missing assignment alert. And then there's one you can set for a score that the student gets higher or lower than. And actually, you could be a mom like me and go in and click every box for every alert, so you get like 3 emails a day
Per child.
But you know what? Let me say something about that though, because sometimes I get those alerts, and those become, again, do I sound like a broken record? They become conversation pieces, and so I can celebrate or I can discipline, and I can coach, and I can look at it at that perspective. Ours are all conversation pieces. How come you have X amount of missing assignments, or where is this, or where is that? Then out comes the AVID binder. We're flipping through, we're looking. It becomes, it's just what we do. When we have all A's in there, we celebrate, and we don't have homework that night, and we have, so the alerts are a good thing. But if you don't have alerts, I mean, our AVID students have agendas, but I would highly recommend some sort of tracking your students' assignments, or even if you're not logging into Skyward, get to where they're logging into Skyward. I call it make it move. So they all have a device of some sort, computer, cell phone, iPad, whatever. I say make it move, so they can't just screenshot it and show me the same one every day. Trust me, I've had to do that. That's from my kid. my former.
Oh, I see. Make it move.
Make it move,
Yes.
right? You have to like log in and scroll in there instead of just showing me the screenshot. That's a shout out to the former
Love
high
that.
school students that used to come up and show me, here you go, miss. No.
That's a picture.
You make it move. So I have them log into Skyward and click on the blue thing and show me things. You know, have them take some ownership of that because it's them. It's them. We aren't there during the day. I can't go sit in my son's English language arts class and know what's going on in there. He's going to have to come home and tell me.
Yeah.
So I have my daughter logs into Skyward. We get the notifications, conversation piece.
Notifications.
Life
They
changer.
are amazing.
We don't have that. We have Remind.
You have Remind. Okay. But so your teacher or the teachers let you know when things are happening.
Yes, everything.
That are bad.
Good and bad.
Good and bad. Like they haven't
Coming-
turned
yeah,
in
they-
some sort of assignment
Absolutely.
or their grade is low.
Yes.
Okay, but what do you do when you don't have one of those teachers that either you don't have Skyward like we have, or you don't have one of those teachers who either has Remind or one that doesn't say much?
I think that's important to go through their stuff. Go,
Okay.
just dive into that backpack. I know you don't want to do it. I know it's terrible. Always ask the question, is there anything in there that's going to hurt me?
Right.
Like a police officer?
I'm kidding. But you know, you do have
They
to ask.
have different objects in that.
You never know what's going to like end up
Pop
right under
out.
your fingernail.
Right. Oh, you
No,
know,
but
that's
seriously,
true.
get in there. Get in there and look. Get in their binder. Get in their folder. If they're not bringing something home, have a conversation with the teacher about it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
reaching out to the teacher too. Open communication with the teacher. You know, I advocate for that a lot. When we have students that are struggling, I advocate that at any campus I've ever been to, even as a teacher, reach out and call a parent.
Yeah.
There's something powerful about that, and just saying, "Hey, I'm concerned. Your student's missing 4 assignments. What's going on? Is there anything I can help with? Can they stay after school tomorrow and stay with me and get things done?" You know, help be the advocate, and not the adversary for that. You know, it shouldn't be a phone call of, "Oh my gosh, he's missing 4 assignments. What are you doing over there?" You know, be the advocate and try to figure out. So even picking up the phone and calling the teacher, emailing the teacher. Hey, you know, I haven't heard anything. He says everything's fine. I'm a little skeptical. You know, reach out. There's a lot of power in that communication.
Yeah. Sometimes the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, though, and the parent is not necessarily doing a great job with organization and time management. So what do you recommend for parents that struggle with this themselves? Because you can't really help somebody do something that you can't do very well yourself.
Right.
Just look at your child's strengths, I believe. That's important. Always highlight the good things that they do as well, but make it visual. Even maybe you have to have some type of organizational system to make it, more than likely. So whatever you do, no matter how small it is, maybe show your kid what you do. If it's just make a grocery list and this is what I abide by, or at work, these are all the things that I have to do. Show them just a pattern of how you take responsibility as a measure to start, and then maybe that may bring up some conversation of what they actually do at school. Most schools have something built in for the students to use, such as a planner or recommend something. So if you talk to your kids, sometimes that comes out, that conversation, but also communicate with the teacher and just be vulnerable and let them know, hey, you know, I struggle with this as well. What is something that we can do at home? And everyone's response may be different, but it may be something you need to hear versus just listening to one perspective. Yeah. I think that's important as well.
I think it's important to break it down too. You know, I personally get overwhelmed with big tasks, you know, and if I can break it down, especially, you know, even take the word parenting. You know, sometimes it's hard to parent, and sometimes it's hard to be organized, and sometimes, so what do I need to do? Well, I realized this weekend that my room was part of my problem. I had come home from a trip, like I'll tell myself, like 3 weeks ago, and my suitcase was still sitting at the bottom of my bed. I had just been kind of like picking things out. So I got myself in order because I realized that part of my angst, I always say that when my shoulders are up by my ears, you know, that I know
Right.
that something's out, right? And so that's what I spent some time just really looking at myself and saying, okay, there are some things that I have out of order right now that I need to get in order. And I broke it down into pieces. I didn't just say get my life in order. That's a hard task. But what I did was I broke it down into smaller tasks so that when even yesterday when I had the day off, I was able to enjoy part of that because I'd taken care of the things. So I think that it's really a self-reflection as a parent. If your kids are in chaos, it's probably because you're in chaos, or you're surrounded by chaos in some sort of if your kids are disorganized, I mean, what part of their life is disorganized right now that you can help with? And I think the first thing is just realizing it and acknowledging, okay, I need help. We are available at the school. We're a Title I school, but we invite our parents up at our school a lot, and we are available to help with those things. So if a parent were to come in and say, I don't know where to start, I will help you. I will sit across from you. Good. And there's probably, I mean, I know a lot of principals that would do the exact same. If a family is struggling at our school, we want to help. And so I think being vulnerable enough to go in and ask for help. I know I personally have gone to schools when our family's been struggling through situations. I've gone into schools to the counselor and said, help me. Tell me what to do. There's one thing about knowing what to do and actually doing it. So I have to take the step.
Absolutely.
We do know that it's really good to be organized, but how do you be organized? Well, let me help you. Let me help you with your student. Let me help you with what can I help you with your family? And I've had principals and I've had teachers and I've had counselors help our family, and I really think that that's it. You can't do it by yourself. You can't.
Yeah. And I would like to add also that something that has helped me that may be a little unconventional is YouTube, and that is. Because sometimes you don't have, and we have been fortunate to have amazing principals and amazing teachers, but for the parent who doesn't, YouTube can teach you just about anything.
Oh, you were right about that.
Absolutely.
You can YouTube your way through life.
Right. If they don't have it on there, then you need to put it on there, right? You need to figure it out and put it on there. But, if your child is not organized and you're not organized, then look up an organizational system that may work for your family.
And Pinterest. Pinterest has fantastic ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
So TV, social media, and video games are huge time wasters in households. What are some creative ways to limit that and reduce usage without turning it into World War III?
I have a basket at my table. We don't have our phones while we eat. That's the one thing that I'm a stickler on. That's how we started with that, and it's commonplace for my kids to do it on their own now. There's no question about it. It's just something that we do. I am terrible sometimes at letting my kids on the weekends maybe have a little bit of too much time, but also I balance it with, if you're going to have 30 minutes of phone time, why don't we have 15 minutes of reading here or there?
Too.
Yeah. Can you do this first?
Minute for minute.
Yeah, sounds like bargaining, but it works. It works.
We have my daughter leaves her phone on the bar area at the house, and I don't have a chair there. She stands there and uses it there, and a lot of times she's like, can I just have it? Nope. Because it limits that, and I don't want her to not ever be on it. I want her to be able to manage those things, but I also want her to participate in the family for as much longer as I can. She's 14, but I think that when you have limits with love too, and when they understand that there are other things to do and there are other conversations to be had and there are other activities, I think it's very hard. Like when we have a day off of school and everybody just wants to lay around the house, it's easy to just fall into those things. But when we have things scheduled to go do, we have little family activities that we do. 2 weeks ago we drove up to the Japanese store up in Plano, and we had sushi, and we shopped there, and it was like this excursion, and the whole way there everybody was like, I'm so glad we're doing this. Now we could have laid at home and done nothing, but we went out and did something together, and there was no technology involved. None. Nobody had the switch in the back seat, nobody had the cell phone in the back seat. We really just up and left. And I think if you plan ahead, then it's not World War III. And if you talk about it and you have what you value with each other, then it's not World War III. There's nobody that screamed or yelled at me that they couldn't take their switch, but that was the very first thing I said was, we're going in the car and you can't take any technology. And they're like, all right.
Man, like the olden days.
Yeah.
in the back of the station wagon, like we were.
Talk to one another.
But I love that you said that you instead of staying around the house, you did a little excursion. Let me just say, Groupon is your friend.
Yes.
You can get so many ideas. What did you do?
Skating at the Arlington Stadium.
Oh, so great. What was the deal?
I don't remember.
You don't
I got it a while ago. I got it around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it was like buy 4, and then I had to buy 2 of them. So
yeah. That's funny. But yeah, you go on a Groupon and you can get a lot of great ideas, not only deals, but you get a lot of great ideas for excursions and things to do.
And when kids are involved in their afternoons too, like when they're involved in making their lunches or when they're involved in picking up, we have, you talked earlier about organization. We have at our house what's called Clean Sweep. And you got to go clean sweep. I should not be able to see any evidence of you throughout the house. So
I love that.
When I call clean sweep, everybody goes from room to room, and if I see evidence of you, then you're not finished yet. It takes less. If you do it regularly, I mean, I'm pretty regular, about 2 to 3 times a week. If you do it regularly, you don't see evidence of them, and so I think that those when you kind of and loosely. When you loosely structure their evenings, then they're not bored and looking for video games or phones or social media or things like that. Now, are they necessary evils? Probably so. But when you have them loosely structured and they have things to do, they're not so distracted by it.
Right. With so much distraction, what are some tips that you can give them for studying and not being distracted?
Oh my gosh, Miss Midgett has the greatest thing ever.
I'm so glad we asked.
Yes.
We have a note-taking system we actually use school-wide. It's not necessarily telling the teachers how to give students notes, but we tell the kids how to study with their notes. Every student knows they should highlight their main ideas, circle key terms throughout their notes, and also summarize what you've learned. Go back through and write it down in a summary. A shortened paragraph is great. We have to consider, too, that our kids' attention spans are about mirrored with their age.
Okay.
So a 13-year-old has about 13 minutes of attention span time. 2-minute breaks in between that time is great. Have them even schedule it themselves to get up, walk around, do
Use
something
Alexa.
different, and come back. Yes. And do something different. But also, when kids do take their notes, they should utilize their notes. I know a lot of teachers teach with giving notes, but sometimes at home we don't have the kid come out and take them out again. Just look for notes that your kids may have in your binder, especially if they're intermediate and middle school age, to go back and review.
And there's color using colored pens or highlighters. Those tend to help students, and they like that too.
Draw them in.
They like to make them look pretty, or they like to make them look nice. And there does seem to be some correlation between actually making them look nice and actually knowing the information too. A couple, like 2 months ago, we had students come in and give the professional development for our teachers, and we had them answer questions about notes, and they said we need to be able to review them, we need to be able to look over them. That's how we're more successful, and I think that helped our teachers see what opportunities they give for them in those notes too. So revisiting them and marking all over them and making them theirs, that's a big thing too. A lot of kids just write down whatever's on the PowerPoint or whatever's on the screen or whatever the teacher says, but how do they make it theirs? Take the ownership of it and make it look like what they want it to look like.
What I've started doing after school for studying, because I found that my kids were always asking for music or they wanted to get up and do something in between, so I did what you said and set a timer, and it was usually an off time, like 13 or 17 minutes, something off, and then at the timer they could dance party. Basically.
Oh, okay.
So get up, shake it off, dance to something, or we would go outside for a moment for 5 to 10 minutes and come back in. Okay, it's time to get back to work, to give them a break in their brain. And that was pretty good, and I need to get back to that. That worked well for us.
So, okay, we are not getting paid by Alexa, but again,
Alexa would be great for that. I don't have one.
You need to get one.
I do.
You need to get an Alexa. So, if you are interested in getting an Alexa, there are so many things that kids can do. I'm totally going off script here, and it has nothing to do with this really, but if you go to my Instagram, that's at Noggin Foundation, then I have a bunch of different commands that you can give for different things. So there's exercise. They have something called Alexa. They're Alexa commands. So they have something called animal dance party or something like that, where you do different things like animals, and then they have Jeopardy you can do, and so I have it categorized by different math activities and things like that. So, and one thing I also do want to mention is that some people are concerned about Alexa because it's kind of giving kids the an open door to some things. So they do have, I think it's an Amazon Dot or something like that. That's for kids that have parental controls on it. So anyway, I just wanted to put a plug in for that. I don't know why. I need to call them and say, hey, we talk about you guys a lot. You want to?
My son has
some more money.
He has an alert that comes on at 4:40 every day that says, Connor, what homework do you have today? And he actually responds. You know, he interacts with that, and it's just a little command I put on there that asks him, you know, what homework do you have today? And he thinks that's the greatest thing.
Yes.
But when it plays on a Saturday, I'm like, but hey, it's there.
Yes.
Okay, what are some common reasons students procrastinate?
School day is a long day.
It's long. It is. Thank God.
Yes, and sometimes they just, you know, sometimes you can be tired from the school day, but also a lot of students don't know how to plan and organize their time. Therefore, they wait till the last minute. That's, you know, when you have to go to the store at 8:00 at night because the project's due the next day. Those types of things.
Mom, I need glue.
I've done. But basically, just stay organized and maybe not having it written down. Are revisiting throughout. We use a strategy called backwards mapping. It's where you plan
start with the
ahead
end
of time.
in mind.
Yes, you start with the end in mind. And it's something simple you can do. There's a lot of resources online for backwards mapping, but especially with projects, it works wonders with projects, so that you don't wait to the last minute. You do a little bit every day. You do a piece of it every day, and you break it down to whatever you need to do from that time perspective. But I think a lot of kids just procrastinate because they're tired sometimes when they get home, and they don't want to start something new from that point. I may not enjoy what they're doing. So maybe given, again, the reason why you're doing this is very important to talk through the educational piece in that.
It's good.
I think they get overwhelmed. You know, when you have a project or a project is due in 2 weeks, you know, what does that even mean? I've had the privilege of working with some high school students that are getting ready to graduate from high school, and they're coming in at the very end, like they've tanked, you know, they've just kind of shut down because here it is, it's almost the end, and they don't know what to do. And so I have a whiteboard in my office, I always have, and we will literally take it from the left corner to the right corner about what does it look like to overcome this overwhelmed, because when people are overwhelmed, we shut down. Like, okay, fine, I just won't do the project. Or they start figuring out what grade they need, whether or not it's worth doing it, right? And so really, if you take that overwhelmedness, okay, what are you overwhelmed by? Well, I'm overwhelmed by my project. Okay, what is the project? Let's break it down. And I mean, we've done notebook paper, we've done whiteboard, we've done everything where we just break it down to where when they walk out, I call it swoosh, and I'll just have sometimes with kids where I just go swoosh, because it's just do it.
Yeah,
just
I like
do
that.
it. Just do something. You don't have to do everything right then.
That's good.
Do something. So I have little Nike swooshes everywhere, and I'll just say, just swoosh, just swoosh, and that's a difference in just do something rather than nothing.
And that reminds me of David Allen. I honestly don't know who that is. He's some sort of organization guru, but he's got a 2-minute rule for productivity. So basically, it is if it's only going to take you 2 minutes, just do it.
Right.
Right. Yeah, just go ahead and get it done. Yeah, so I love that. And then also, I found, have you guys heard of task prioritization matrix?
No.
Okay, so they do them several different ways, but I really liked this one, and I have it in front of me. I'm going to try to explain it for those of you that are not watching us. So it's an axis, right? So on the top of the axis is importance, and on the right side is interest. And then these are the 4 little quadrants here. So the left top is called the frog. I'm not sure why it's called the frog, but those are things that are of high importance and low interest. Okay? And those are the things that you get over with. You intersperse those with more interesting things to avoid burnout, right? And then on the right side, there's priorities, which is high interest and high importance. It says prioritize these and intersperse them with the high importance, low interest things, right? And then back burner, those are low importance and low interest. He says consider removing these altogether.
Oh, yeah.
Consider getting rid of these altogether. And then there's fun work that's low importance and high interest. And it says minimize or save for non-peak productivity hours after accomplishing important tasks. So I said all that to say, because I always have a to-do list going at all times. And so what it's saying is you need to, more than just have a list of things to do, prioritize those in a way that is going to help you actually get through them. Yeah. So what can we do? We talked a little bit about the binder and the backpack. We talked quite a bit about that. So as students get older, what are the best ways to increase autonomy and help them and encourage them to do these things on their own?
I'm really an advocate. This isn't always popular, but I'm really an advocate of letting kids fail in something, some way that's a safe fail. You know, as parents, we want them to be happy all the time. We want them to have everything. We want them, but really in the long run, it's okay to let them fail. It's okay to let them be late and understand what being late means. So if they're
so agree with that.
if they're late to school, then that means they have a tardy and there's a consequence assigned with that. If they're late to a party because they waited too long at home to do something, there's some sort of consequence with that, whether it's social or whether it's just them personally. But it's okay for them to fail. And I think when we're releasing that gradual release of control, it's okay to let them do something and then fail, but then also circle back and say, okay, what would you do differently, or how did that make you feel, or things that, that empathy part of it. Oh, that must have been really frustrating when you went into class late and you didn't get your warm up done, or whatever, to not that we're just walking around and letting them fail at everything, but really have some support and a support system in place so that you can talk that out. I keep saying talk, and I talk a lot, I'm sorry, but that's really where you understand your kids and you understand what's driving it. So maybe they didn't have control over the situation at the time, or maybe they did and they won't take responsibility for having control over the situation. Then you know exactly what to coach and what to work on for the autonomy. Right. If they're not ready to be left at home alone, then you're really like, that might not be a place to let them fail because you really like your kitchen not on fire or something, But when you have a safe place to let them fail and to talk through that, then they're ready to stay at home by themselves because you've worked through a lot of those things and they know how to be a problem solver. Yeah. That's really what we want our kids to be. Yeah. Problem solvers and to realize there's something and then make adjustments. Yeah. And so the autonomy part, they have to be ready to do those certain things.
I love that you said that we need to allow them to fail. We had a whole episode on helping your child fail well. It's really important because, in life, we're not going to win. Excuse me. We're not going to win all the time. And we don't want them to go out there and fail and then not be able to recover from it.
Fall apart.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have to know that we fail too. They have to know that, because as parents, a lot of times we try to hide, not hide intentionally, but we just try to not involve them in adult things that they don't, necessarily know about or whatever. But, I failed miserably at 9:00 last night, and I let my 10-year-old know on the way to school this morning. We were talking about the day and everything. And I told him, I said, oh my gosh, you'd not believe what I did last night. I told him, he was like, what did you do? We had this whole conversation about it because I made a huge fail last night, but I also I don't want them to think I'm perfect. And so I'm okay sharing those things with them. The struggles that I've had, I'm a new principal this year. I've shared some struggles with them, and I've even gone to them like, you're middle school kids, or that's your age. How would you handle this? How would you, and I go to them for input. So I think too, those things it's okay for them to see you fail too, miserably. It's okay.
Yeah. It's important to know that, being an adult is not about winning all the time and knowing what to do all the time. Right. We're not experts at being adults. I certainly am not an expert at being a mom, a wife, or anything. We're learning, and let them know it's okay to fail and to learn from that. Have a growth mindset.
Yep. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Okay, so I have a child that has some special needs and learning difficulties. At what point should we be concerned that the child needs professional help with time management and organization? What are some signs or clues?
I think it's always great to talk to your school counselor. Sometimes, for example, I have, kids that vary at different ages. Sometimes I forget what it may be like to be a 10-year-old girl or my 4-year-old boy is totally different than my 6-year-old even. Talk maybe to see what kids on average are doing at that point, at your child's age, and see if it's something that's commonplace. I know that things are different now. We were talking on the way here that, of how we have our conversation with our kids now. Things are different where my parents really wasn't a conversation. This is what you do. Right. So kids are evolving in that manner too. So it may be something that your kid may be on target, but if you really truly feel like that they're not on target, I would first start with the school counselor to see if there are some things that can be put into place. Sometimes not everything takes a 504 piece of paper or a IEP to solve. It could be something that can be done manageable with the school, but that would be a great resource to start with your school counselor. That's good. In that manner.
I think if you think about, again, self-reflection, are you doing things to help them and to coach them? And they're not taking, that might be something. If they're really, really struggling, you guys are sitting down and you're studying and you're following through with your planner and things like that, and you've got that structure in place and they're still not successful. I think that's one way that you can, have a conversation with a teacher at school, or, I really caution about going to like a mom's group on social media or something, because you're probably not going to get the true story. I mean, you're going to get some insight maybe, but it's kind of like when you look up things on WebMD and then all of a sudden you're dying, there's going to be some extremes that you see, and then there's going to be people who don't quite share the entire visual of it. So I think that it's really important to not compare yourself as a parent, and not compare your kids all the time, because kids are different and parents are different, and the way that we handle things, you can get some insight, but not to just, oh well, so and so's doing it this way, so there must be something wrong with my kid. That's not a good comparison.
Yeah. One last question we are so out of time, but I don't want to, I would be remiss to not mention some apps and some other resources that are good for time management.
Google Keep is wonderful. It's a cloud app through Google that everyone in your family can have. A student can share it with their teacher. You can share it with anyone. But it's basically making a live to-do list. And you can categorize it and make several to-do lists on Google Keep. Microsoft Office Exchange has a great calendar that's cloud-based as well, that you can use, that I use often as a time management resource to show this is where I need to be on time. I set my alerts 5 minutes ahead of time, or if I know it's something I really need to plan for, it could be a day ahead of time. But you can set your alerts to even alert you to remember the activity. Yeah. Something I use.
I'm totally not an electronic person when it comes to all that. I'm pen and paper, post-it note paper, chart paper. I'm a visual that I can touch and I can write down. There's a direct correlation between what I write down and what I remember. And I know that about myself. If I put it in my phone, which I will mention the epic fail of last night had to do with my calendar and today. But it was because I was using my pen and paper and I wasn't putting it into my electronic. And so, I know that there's the need for it, and I know that my job, people need me to be certain places at certain times, but also it's hard for me to manage my family that way. So we are old school Sharpie and Post-it note and wall calendar and things that are visual and tangible. So I'm no good. All I got is Alexa. Yeah. That's all I have.
Yeah. Hey, but Alexa is amazing. We love you, Alexa.
Class Dojo has a portion that extends home, and the parent can actually include goal setting
I saw that. Is that you have to pay for that, right?
It is a in-app purchase,
Uh-huh.
But it was really good.
It was worth it.
Yeah,
Do you
the
remember how much
dings
it
and the
was?
stars, I don't. I think it was
Okay.
maybe $6.99.
Okay, that.
Yeah.
Some of our
month
teachers
or
use
one?
that.
There was a monthly purchase.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
They're always
There
a
was.
monthly.
Notice was. So
Oh,
we
got rid of that.
Yes. But I'm thinking about getting it back because my kids really got motivated to be able to push that button and get that ding and that reward.
Yeah.
And it led to something. And I told them if they had so many points, we could do this activity. And it was a team
Yeah.
effort. So it was really great.
Yeah. I want to mention my best friend, Evernote. I
Oh, yes.
love Evernote. And if you have not downloaded the Evernote app, it really helps with paper clutter because you can actually use it to scan papers. And I do this
love
all the time with stuff that I, don't want to forget and don't have to return, but it's like information I need to refer back to, like my daughter's cheerleading dates and things like that. So you can scan it on your phone and you can categorize them into different folders. Like I have a Christina folder, I have a DJ folder, I have a David folder, and it is searchable by not just what you type in, but you can search. Like for instance, I have on a school days shirt right now. I can, if I took a picture of myself and put it in Evernote, I could search for school, and it would find the school on
Oh, wonderful.
my shirt.
Nice.
It is a wonderful, wonderful app. I used to use it to put all of our taxes in there for all of our tax paperwork. But that's a great app. And then also, we talked a little bit about command centers. WhatMomsLove.com has a post about creating the ultimate homework station.
Awesome.
So she's got probably like 10 different workstations for homework that were really cool that you can get some ideas from or copy exactly if you want, if you think that'll work for you. So those are just a couple of options. So any last words, that you want parents to take away for organization, time management?
Take a breath.
Take a breath.
Yeah. Because a lot of times we want things done a certain way and the kids are just not ready for it. And we just need to step back sometimes and just take a breath.
Yeah.
Just, it'll come.
Yeah. And I would say my word of advice is don't compare. You said that a little
that's
bit,
good.
but just don't compare yourself to other moms. Don't
And
compare your kids to other kids. Because you never know what their situation actually is,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's probably not perfect like you think it is, like it is on Facebook.
Right.
Right.
Do y'all have any last words?
Just try.
Yeah.
Put the effort forward, and it may come to you. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next year, but just try.
Yeah. Yeah.
My word for the year is action. And part of that is because I was procrastinating in things, or I was, somebody else will do that. And it's up to me to take the action. It's up to me to have the interaction with my kid every day after school, to see where they are, to assess the day, to see what homework is. And so even when I'm tired, or even when I'd rather be, sitting watching Netflix or something, it's up to me to take that action and to be the parent in it. He shouldn't have to come to me, or she shouldn't have to come to me and say, this is what I did and I need this signature. I'm being proactive, so I'm taking action, and I've really seen a difference in that. When I started doing that last year, was just I'm going to be the action. No, I'm not going to wait for them. And so I think that's really important with your kids is be the action.
Yeah.
Take the action.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say is ask for help.
Yes.
Ask for help.
Ask your school. I mean, we there are so many things that we interact with during the day that we see 800 and you see 1 or 2. And so sometimes we have some perspective that we can share with you, some ideas. Ask. We'll help you. I mean, we will help. And if your school won't help, we'll see. We'll help you.
We'll have her email address.
Yes,
so that we
that's
can
awesome.
fill her email box with.
I'll reply. I will take action.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
Thank
You
you.
guys
Thank
provided
you.
some really helpful information. But we are out of time. But we always want to let you guys know what's going on with Noggin Educational Foundation. So our mission is to help close the achievement gap for economically disadvantaged children by improving educational opportunities for students, supporting supporting families and encouraging excellence and innovation in the classroom. School Days is part of our commitment to support families by providing access to experts who offer information and resources regarding all topics that impact education. If you love this program, please consider donating to Noggin. Your gift will be tax deductible. Head to our website, schooldayshow.com, to give today. Also, we are now taking applications for our free tutoring program. Each student receives 12 in-home private sessions with a teacher. We also offer online tutoring if you don't happen to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Students must qualify for the free or reduced lunch program at school. Space is limited, but for more information, go to our website, nogginfoundation.org, that's Noggin, and click the free tutoring icon. And lastly, if you're interested in having your child be one of our kid casters, email me at info@schooldayshow.com. Next week, I'll sit down with dyslexia specialist Linnea Oxley and Samantha Sneed Echbellum, dyslexia coordinator for Irving ISD. I have several friends that have children with dyslexia, so I'll be telling them about this episode for sure. So don't forget to share that with your parent friends. Also, head to our website, schooldayshow.com, for more information about all that we talked about on the show, for all the resources that we mentioned here on School Days. And remember, you don't ever have to miss a show. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, and pretty much everywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Noggin Foundation. That's Noggin. And last but not least, we always want to end the show by saying that David and I are parenting by grace. We depend on God to give us the wisdom and strength we need to raise our kids into flourishing adults. And if you'd like to know more about that, please feel free to email me at info@schooldayshow.com. Have a great week.